you'll be up first. So we're just waiting for everyone to come in. I'm not sure if Thoric is also already here. Maybe not. I might be waiting for my co-host. So we're just waiting for everyone to come in from their icebreakers, and then we will get started.
Okay.
I think we've got all of our speakers here. So that's already better than yesterday. It's good that you're all here and you're all on time. So we'll just wait a few more minutes. I can see the numbers slowly going up. So. Yeah, we're slowly getting there. Is one of their hand raised? Is that intentional or by accident?
Oh, so we have more than.
Well, yesterday we had nearly 200 people, so hopefully we'll get the same today. So we'll just wait a little while. It takes a little while for people to get in here.
Okay.
And we'll kick start. Maybe Thoric, if you're here, you could turn on your camera. If you're here, I have to wait for Thoric. Okay. Maybe in the meantime, Laura Kelly, other Laura, you might turn on your camera there so people can see the speakers.
Apologies, I've had to have a quick costume change.
Ah,
I'm no longer wearing yellow.
Very impressive.
Yeah, I was away from my keyboard for 2 minutes there.
Thoric, hello. I think we're still waiting. We're still waiting for the numbers to trickle up. Maybe we're missing 1 or 2 calls. People slowly getting on board. Okay. In the meantime, feel free to interact with each other in the chat. We have alumni there, talk to you and help you out. Hope everyone enjoyed their first round of workshops today. I know I had a great time in my workshop. Hopefully all the rest of you did as well. We'll be seeing each other again tomorrow in the same workshop group, so hope you enjoyed yourselves. Okay, I think we'll get started, and as people come in, they'll hear little bits. First things first, if you guys have been here the last 2 days, you know who I am. I'm Jana. Jana Cox. I'm originally from Ireland, but I now live in the Netherlands. I'm part of the CEI alumni network. I'm part of the senior alumni, if you saw the presentation this morning. Yeah, I'm here to help chair today. So my co-chair is actually Thoric from Indonesia. So Thoric, maybe you can introduce yourself?
So hello everyone, my name is Tariq. I am from Indonesia, as I'm Indonesian, and I'm going to be assisting Jenna for the session today for the last CI talks. So nice to meet you all.
Okay, thanks so much. So just before we get started, I'll quickly go over the house rules. They're the same as the last 2 days if you weren't here. So if you're not a speaker, can you please turn off your camera and your microphone? Again, we ask you to use the chat function to ask your questions. If you have a question for a specific speaker, please include their name. And if you want a general question to the whole panel, you can just write general. We ask all the questions at the end, but you can feel free to ask questions while the talks are ongoing. But all the questions will be posed to the speakers during the Q&A panel at the end of all the talks. If you're watching on a live stream, so if you're on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook, you're very welcome. We're happy to have you here. Please also feel free to ask questions. We have people monitoring those streams, and we will ask your questions to the speakers. With that being said, we're on to our first speaker. So Tariq, take it away.
Yep. Delegates, teachers, faculty, students, fellow caretakers, I wish you all a convivial welcome and hello. It is a great pleasure for me to introduce our speaker today, who's going to talk to us about the floating school. This is a very unique subject in which we should all be deeply interested, because our speaker has involved in a number of fellowship programs for his studies in the UK, Japan, United States, and in Estonia. He is also the founder of the Floating School Indonesia, which we are about to find out. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Rahmat Hidayat.
Thank you very much, Tariq, for the nice introduction. And give me a minute to show my presentation.
Yep, I also have it here if you want me to click for you. It's up to you.
I have a little bit changes in my presentation,
Okay,
so it will be fine.
You should have power to share your screen. I'll stop sharing so that you can share.
Okay, it's now okay. Everyone can see it.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Oh, yeah, we're loading. Yeah, that's great. Thanks.
Yep.
Okay, good. Yes. So good evening from Indonesia. It's very nice weather here, and hope you have a nice weather too in your country or wherever you are. As mentioned by our host tonight, I'm Rahmat. That's my Instagram, and I'm from the Floating School as a founder, one of the founders from the Floating School, and I'm also one of the Future Leaders Connect by the British Council in 2019. I'm very glad to share my experience and share the idea behind the floating school in Indonesia, which I and my co-founders found in 2017. So this is the life on the islands looks like from the sky, taken by a drone. Isn't it beautiful? But if I ask you what pop ups in your mind when you heard about island, probably it would be like beach, sun tanning, diving, snorkeling, swimming, lying on the white sand. But that's probably describe Bali more than our island in Pangkep. So this is the islands I was born and grew up when I was a kid. So our area is called Pangkep. It stands for Pangkal Jene and Kepulauan. It's archipelagic area. It has 117 islands scattered between Sulawesi Islands and Kalimantan Island. So basically, it's just lots of tiny islands on our area. So life on the island was very challenging. For example, there is no electricity 24 hours. So electricity only on between 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. And the infrastructure and the facilities are quite limited, especially for education and health. That's why health and education are becoming a serious issue on the islands. And also, there are so many social issues, for example, disease, healthcare problem, including healthcare facilities, and also the presence of the teacher are not every day. So it's quite difficult for the students to study on the classroom every day since the number of the teacher is limited and also their presence is also not every day. And this is what's sad about the islands in my hometown at the moment. There are lots of fishermen are still doing destructive fishing by using bomb or dynamite or any other materials which damage the environment under the sea. And this is one of the serious problems that we are facing at the moment, because it's still these practices are still many at the moment in our area, and this threatens our the future of our sea, and also the sustainability of the islands in my area. And after talking and discussing with many people in on the islands, we finally found that actually the islands that we live at the moment is a large classroom. There are so many things that people can actually learn if you live on the islands. With the limited electricity, everything should be very efficiently used during the night, because the availability of the electricity is not 24 hours. And also the life on the sea itself give us lots of lesson on how we should keep it for the sustainability, life sustainability in our planet, because most of the uh, foods are from the water, from the sea, and also there are lots of lives under the water that we should preserve and we should keep, and also learn from the life under the water. There are lots of fishermen are still doing traditional method in fishing, and without very advanced technology, people on the island somehow can survive. So facing those problems as a, and also as one of the people from those island, one of those islands, we think that as a young people we need to contribute to solve the problem, and we need to make something to deal with the social problem. And since we are quite experienced and also passionate in education sector, that's why we created what we call as a floating school. So basically, the idea of the floating school is a traditional boat that you can see on the screen. That's the boat that we usually use. So it's just a traditional boat that we use to sail from one island to another island and give lessons to children aged 12 to 20 years old, and invited them and to try to open their horizon and to see the world, that life outside the island is much bigger than what they found usually uh, from their books, from their teaching materials that given by the teachers, and etc. So this boat that we use is owned by a fisherman that voluntarily gave us permission to use to to do island hopping every weekend. And we invite many youngsters from the mainland to join us in order they also can see how lives on the islands, and how they also can contribute hand in hand with us to solve this problem, especially in education sector. So what we use is actually contextual learning approach, just like what Butet yesterday said in the previous conference. That and it's also one of our biggest inspiration from her practice with Sokola Rimba. In this floating school, we apply contextual learning because we want to see the young generation on the islands have sense of belonging towards their island. So if they graduate someday, they don't go and leave their islands and look for something else outside their islands, because actually what they need is already available in the island, except phone signal, 4G internet signal, and electricity. So we encourage them to be a young guardian and a future leader which has sense of belonging towards their islands and wants to preserve, keep, and also sustain the life on the islands, the culture, the environment, and everything that they have on their islands. So we try to divide the classes every weekend. So we offer them a drawing class, writing class, literary class, music class, photography class, dance class, and computers class. What differs these classes with other classes that we have in our education in Pangkep in Sulawesi is that we bring a contextual learning in it. For example, in drawing class, what usually students draw when they are in a conventional school on the mainland is just like two mountains and sun in the middle, and there will be a rice field around, and that's very uh, it's kind of template that has been put in every student's mind since I was a kid until now. And surprisingly, when we first came to the island and introduced the drawing class to the youth on the islands, they also drew what I just described: two mountains, sun in the middle, and surrounded by rice field. But sadly, that's not what they always see and have in on their islands, because there's no mountain like that. There's no rice field on the islands. So it's kind of sad to see how the students cannot explore their creativity and cannot be invited to see and observe their surrounding. So that's why we always tell them that please observe around the islands and draw, put your feelings there, put your whatever you feel, whatever you see, whatever you hear, please put it on the paper or on the canvas. And same or similar with other classes. For example, in writing classes, what they write usually poem or short story, but we try to encourage them to go around the islands and see what kind of things that uh, interesting to write about their islands, because sometimes they always forget that there are always lots of things interesting on the islands, but they don't get used to see or observe what's close to them. And for example, also in photography classes, we lend them a camera and they go around the islands and took pictures. And after they taking pictures, we discuss what's their photos look like and why did they take that photo. So we want to bring them closer to their islands, and we want to build this sense of belonging. And also, we want them to understand where they live. It's a very simple exercise where the children, we ask them to create a map of their islands. And when they did the exercise, they were surprised because even their neighbor, uh, they merely know each other, even though they live and the houses is very close to each other. And the location, they sometimes surprise that, for example, oh, my house is in fact very close to the school. It's just two buildings away, two houses away. And by giving this exercise, we expect that now they have a better understanding about their islands, the geographic, the condition, the people who live there, the potential, and etc. And at the end of this our school year, usually it runs annually. So we organize a exhibition. An exhibition, we call it Pameran Sekolah Terapung, or Floating School Exhibition. It's where all the students will present what they have learned throughout the school year. For example, the music class will perform a performance related to the islands or any issue that they pick.
Rahmat, I
Yes,
am so sorry, but can you please finish up because we do not have much time.
yes, one more slide.
Okay.
So, because Indonesia is a maritime country and we should prepare a generation who love and passionate to keep it sustainable, that's why we created the floating school. So, in the future, we have this young generation to keep our beautiful sea around Indonesia and hopefully around the world. So that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rahmat. It was very interesting and insightful. It was quite mesmerizing. And for participants, if you have any question for Rahmat, do not hesitate to ask the question in the chat box.
So our next speaker is Laura Gonzalez. Hopefully Laura is here and can turn on her camera and microphone. And Laura is from CEI Portugal, for any of you who haven't had the pleasure yet of meeting our lovely Laura. And Laura is also the project manager for sustainability and environmental education at ASPIA. I'm not even going to try that Portuguese, but ASPIA is a huge educational organization. And most of you will recognize Laura from her exceptional work organizing the 2015 conference. And she's here to talk to us today about a project called Let's Take Care of the Planet, which is a European project focused on awareness raising and the civic duty of students in their own schools. So Laura, do you want to share screen, or would you like me to click through your slides?
I can share. I already have my presentation here, so maybe it's easier if I want to go further or not.
Go ahead.
Yes. Can you see it?
Yeah, it's loading. Yes.
Yeah, my computer is like very slowly sometimes.
So it's not full screen yet, but maybe you can.
No, but I'm almost there.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. So first of all, while my computer is like trying to work, I'm just saying thank you very much for the introduction, Jana, and all of the team. I'm very happy to be here. I'm sorry I was not able to join all of the activities from the conference because I'm also in another conference here in Porto, in the north of Portugal. And as we were in the pandemic,
Okay, I'm not sure. Is Laura also frozen for others? Maybe it's just going to take a second to unfreeze. We'll just give her a second. Okay, hopefully. I think we've all experienced freezing and internet issues, right, with Teams before, so. Oh, okay. Maybe Laura's been kicked off her internet. Otherwise, maybe for now we can also move on and come back to Laura. I'm not sure if you can hear us, Laura, or not. Give her a second. Try call her back in. Okay, maybe we'll for now maybe we'll move on to the other Laura. So that's Laura Kelly. So give me a moment. So Laura is a CEI senior alumni, so you probably heard her speak this morning. But aside from her amazing work that she does for all of us at Caretakers, she also works for a tourism company called Brendan Vacations. And her wide knowledge of like language and culture that she's developed through Caretakers as well led her to tourism. So she worked for many years as a tour guide and has a master's in tourism management. And sustainable tourism is something that really combined her love of the environment and her love for tourism. So she's going to talk to us today about the Sustainable Development Goals and how they can and should be implemented in the tourism industry. So with that, I will hand you over to Laura Kelly. Laura, you are muted, I think. Still muted. We'll get there.
1 second.
Oh, there we are. Yeah.
Okay, it got stuck for some reason. Oh, there we go. Can you? Oh, wait, I had to stop sharing and it then got stuck. So
yeah, we need to.
1 second. Sorry about this. I was trying to be prepared and then It backfired. So, right. So, can you see my slides?
Yep.
Okay, so hi everyone. As Jana said, you probably know me as in my alumni hat, but for now, I'm going to go put on my other hat, which is my tourism hat. And I'm just going to talk to you about sustainable tourism and the Sustainable Development Goals. First, I'll start off by just telling you a little bit more about my background that Jana mentioned. Then I'll talk a bit about what is sustainable tourism. Then we'll look at tourism and the Sustainable Development Goals and how they kind of can link together. Then I'll talk to you a bit about the Tread Right Foundation. It's a foundation that was set up by the Travel Corporation, of which my company, Brand and Vacations, is part of that brand family. And then I'll talk through some examples that my company, Brand and Vacations, work with. So some of our tourism experience and how and why they're sustainable. And then I'll talk to you a little bit about a brand new sustainability strategy that was only launched in the last week with Tread Right. So I'll talk to you a bit about that as well. So first of all, as Jana said, well, firstly, I'm Jana's sister. We grew up in Waterford, but then I went off to Trinity College in Dublin to study German and history. Then I went and did a master's in UCD, University College Dublin, in medieval history, to which I then made my way to tourism management in DIT. Also in Dublin, so I had a few bumps along the road to get to tourism, but all of that experience all joined together. The reason I then got involved in tourism is because I love to travel, and aside from that, then I was a tour guide for a few years. I was a tour guide around Ireland with my travel companion Alfred. He was my little travel companion. And I also worked in a chocolate factory here in Ireland, giving tours of Butler's chocolate experience as well. Then I finally made my way to Brendan Vacations, where I've been for just over 2 years now. And Brendan Vacations is a tour operator, and we specialise in basically selling Scotland and Ireland to the US and soon the Canadian market. So as I mentioned before, Brendan Vacations is part of the Travel Corporation, or the TTC, and they're a big family of travel brands, which would include people like Trafalgar, Contiki, Cost Saver, and some of these other massive brands you would have maybe heard of before as well. So what is sustainable tourism? So I picked a couple of definitions. There's lots of ways you can define it, but mainly it's tourism that takes full account of its current and future economic, social, and environmental impacts, which addresses the needs of visitors, the industry, the environment, and host communities. That's from the UN World Tourism Organization. A little more simply, the Travel Foundation say that it aims to increase the benefits tourism can bring to an area and decrease the negative impacts that can be caused by tourism. So that would involve protecting natural environments, wildlife, and natural resources, also providing authentic tourist experiences that celebrate and conserve culture and heritage, and then also creating socio-economic benefits for communities through employment and also opportunities for locals to earn income. So that's just a brief definition. So you might be wondering, how on earth does tourism relate to the Sustainable Development Goals? So we're going to look through some of the main areas where it is very much so considered. However, tourism can be linked to pretty much all of the Sustainable Development Goals in some way. So first up, goal number 8, decent work and economic growth. So tourism really drives the global economic growth. 1 in 11 jobs worldwide are in tourism. Obviously, this figure with COVID may have changed a bit, but it will soon recover to something similar. Tourism also allows work opportunities for both youth and women, who are sectors that may not have opportunities in other sectors. Then also one of the targets, target 8.9, is that they have said that they'll devise and implement policies to promote sustainable tourism that creates jobs and promotes culture and local culture and products by 2030. So then this one is maybe more obviously to do with tourism, sustainable cities and communities, because obviously a city should be good to its citizens to be able to be good for tourists as well. And in that sense, they should advance urban infrastructure, promote regeneration, and preserve cultural and natural heritage. And that is because everything is a circle. We need to preserve the heritage to bring in the tourists, who will feed this money back into the local economy to allow regeneration and the improvement of infrastructure to take place. So it benefits both locals and tourists alike. The result is then smarter, greener cities for both residents and tourists. So then responsible consumption and production. So this might more obviously, you might be thinking, okay, well, hotels need to reduce their waste, things like that, but there are other parts to this as well. The tourism sector needs to adopt sustainable consumption and production because this will accelerate the global shift towards sustainability. Then to do this, they are going to make some tools to monitor sustainable development impacts. They'll be developed and implemented, and the Sustainable Tourism Programme was developed as part of this. Goal 14, life below water. Coastal maritime tourism are obviously a huge segment of tourism, especially for islands. So Ireland, Indonesia, some of these countries, we very much so rely on this type of tourism. And a healthy marine ecosystem is vital, and tourism development has to be included in part of when we're doing sort of integrated coastal zone management, so that the tourism industry can play their part in conservation and also serve as a vehicle to promote a blue economy. Life on land then. On land, landscapes, forests, biodiversity, natural heritage sites, they're all main reasons why tourists want to visit. So for that reason, conservation and preservation and also respecting those ecosystems is vital. And that's a vital thing tourism industries have to take into account. So what I want to talk about now is that's kind of more general overview. I want to look more specifically about what my company then does. So first of all, we have TreadRight. So the TreadRight Foundation was a non-for-profit organisation created by the TTC. It was formerly the TTC Conservation Fund in 2008, and it became the TreadRight Foundation in 2012. They have three main pillars that they work on, so people, planet, and wildlife. So that already sounds quite, obviously, environmentally friendly. And just to show you some examples, one of the many projects they work on around the world is with Wilderness Foundation Africa. This, for example, supports conservation agencies and organised private game reserves in protecting the rhinos. So that's just one of many projects they're involved in. You can find out more on their website. Also, the TTC were a diamond sponsor for the UN 2017 International Year of Sustainable Tourism for Development. So they supported that as well. And one thing more, I would say more locally or more obviously to the traveller that we do is we undertake initiatives such as eDocs. So eDocs, it basically means that you get an electronic version of all of your travel documents with all of your itinerary and all of your information so that you're not bringing a whole big paper document with you. So that's what they would have done in the past. I know maybe for some of the young people that might not be how you ever have traveled, but for some of the older people or those who you know travel through travel agencies, you might remember being handed a big folder full of information. So with eDocs, it reduces paper waste, obviously, but also anyone who chooses to go for eDocs, we plant a tree using one tree planted in their name then. And this year, all of those trees that were planted were in Australia because, of course, the forest fires at the very start of the year, but this varies depending on where trees are needed kind of most. So then in 2018 as well, they pledged to get rid of avoidable single-use plastics. So, for example, plastic luggage tags for guests on guided vacations. And this was achieved already by 2019. So we do tend to work on things and we tend to achieve them as well. So that's always good. Also, on World Tourism Day 2019, they launched a Make Travel Matter pledge where they asked people to pledge to travel sustainably. You can find this pledge on their website too, and you can sign the pledge yourself on the website. So I encourage everyone to do so. It's just to basically say that you will travel in a sustainable way. So there's more information there on the website. So now I'm going to go through a few of our examples that Brendan Vacation specifically work with, just to give you kind of maybe a more down-to-earth sort of point of view as to how these are in every sort of experience that we do. So the first one is Ireland Walk, Bike, Hike. So this was set up by Linda Woods back in 1994 because she witnessed a lot of people were traveling through Ireland and they were just going really fast through Ireland. They were hitting the main sites on kind of guided buses, and they didn't really see the real Ireland. So she wanted to show them the real Ireland, get off off the beaten track a little bit by foot and by bike. And as it says here, her aim was to slow people down so they really get their feet into the soul of the country, meet the locals, and discover what makes Ireland and the Irish tick. So she employs locals as guides, and that in turn obviously supports the local economy, but it's also the locals are the best people to bring you around to show you the hidden spots. So they have walks, hikes, and biking trips to discover the land, coast, and community. So she can be seen as being linked to sustainable cities and communities because she supports a sustainable community, but then also life on land because, of course, they're looking at, they would be encouraging the clients to leave no trace and leave only footprints and take some photographs so that there's, you know, minimal impact on the environment. And they also would work with conservation, protection of flora and fauna, and they work with local craftspeople as well. So that's just one example. This would be mainly, I've been on one there with Linda. The top photo there was down in Dingle down in Kerry. That was great experience with Linda. So another one then would be Delicious Dublin Tours. So from a tourism point of view, with the responsible consumption and production, we think of waste, things like that hotels need to do this, but maybe this is from a slightly different perspective. So this tour was set up by Ketty Quigley. She's French originally, but she's living and working in Ireland since 2004. She founded Delicious Dublin Tours in 2015. And she brings small groups on foot around Dublin. So it's a low carbon footprint. It's the opposite of mass tourism. And she brings them to the best places to eat. What better way to see a city? Her mission is to make Irish people proud of their food culture and also for tourists to go home with unforgettable Irish food experiences. And I was talking to her when I said that I was going to give this presentation, and she said for her, it's more about the economic and social sustainability because she promotes the idea of supporting small, independent and local businesses to fuel the local economy. So that's really how she sees things. There we go. So we have a couple of ones. We have Murphy's Ice Cream is one example. Murphy's Ice Cream is originally based down in Kerry, but they have a shop in Dublin as well. They make sure that they have no colorings, flavorings, or powdered milk in any of their ice creams. Their milk is absolutely fresh from the farm. They use local cream, fresh eggs, organic sugar, and they also make a sea salt ice cream, which is made from Dingle seawater. So it's made from the local Irish seawater. They also brought in edible eco cups instead of single-use plastic ones to reduce their waste as well. So you're getting your ice cream in edible eco cup. All of the ingredients are fresh. What better way to enjoy an ice cream? As well as that, then she also works with Claw. So this is the owner, Niall Sabonki, down in the bottom left there. And he runs Sustainable Seafood Ireland. He works closely with fishermen and oyster farms to supply the best local and also seasonal seafood. So she also brings people there as well. So they get absolutely fresh seafood and whatever is seasonal as well. So then I have one more example for you. This is to do with Life Below Water. This is a seaweed discovery workshop that we work with down on the Ring of Kerry on the Wild Atlantic Way. It's down in Derrynan. We have husband and wife, John and Kerry Ann Fitzgerald. They're very much so, it's very much so sustainable maritime or coastal tourism in this case, as well as a bit of food tourism too. They've been running seaweed discovery courses and workshops since 2009, so already for quite some time. And as educators and custodians of the marine habitat, their environmental policies to respect, enjoy, and protect the natural wonders that surround them. So what they do is they bring people out and they forage, find, and identify seaweeds. Some will be eaten fresh from the rocks, and then as you see these ones fresh from the rocks, they'll teach you how to sustainably harvest, dry, and store these amazing superfoods. Because I don't know if you know, but seaweeds are an amazing superfood, so they're really good for you. Then after you've had your walk on the beach and you've gone and picked some seaweeds, foraged some seaweeds, you return to the base and you have a lunch which is all full of seaweed dishes, and then also live beverages such as seaweed and fruit kefirs and kombuchas. So it's really unusual, but it's a really memorable experience, and it's really good to promote local sustainable tourism and also, you know, using what is there, the maritime tourism. So then lastly, I just want to take you through TTC's new sustainability strategy. It is absolutely brand new. it only was released on the 24th of September. And I actually, when I put this presentation together, this hadn't been released. So it's funny because I had been thinking about, you know, our experiences and sustainability goals. And then sure enough, the TTC had also been thinking about them too. So basically, they use the lens of the Sustainable Development Goals to identify sustainability issues within the business that we could then positively impact through operations. So operations being through each brand. So for example, through our experiences that I went through just now, and also through TreadRight, so all of the different projects that they invest in as well. So then they aligned with 11 goals in particular. They're there in the background, and just to have a greater global impact. And then basically by 2025, they committed to making sure that no less than 20% of project contributions were to do with planet, the pillar of planet, 50% to do with people, and 30% to do with wildlife. So just as well, to give you an example of those type of projects, so with planet, one of their goals is to reduce food waste by 50% across all hotels and ships by 2025. So that aligns with Goal 12, our responsible consumption and production. With people, one of them is to include at least one Make Travel Matter experience on 50% of all itineraries across all of the brands. So those experiences would be some of the ones that I just mentioned, those ones that really very much so highlight sustainable tourism, and they're able to teach people about how to, you know, buy local and be more sustainable. And then finally with wildlife, their main goal is to ensure all wildlife experiences across all of the brands adhere to the animal and welfare policy that they have created by 2021. So that's just some of the many things they're planning to do. You can read more on the website, but just that is pretty much it for me. For more information, you can go to TTC, TreadRight, or you can also look up Brendan Vacations, and I encourage you to do so, and I encourage you to go and sign the travel pledge, because together we really can make travel matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. That was awesome. Oh, I can hear myself. Okay. Okay. Tarek, you can take it away.
All right. So caretakers, our next speaker is a very educated Indonesian woman who's going to talk to us about women's empowerment from an Indonesian woman's perspective. This is an interesting subject because we are going to hear about why we cannot leave women behind when we talk about sustainability. Also, our speaker, she's a doctor of education as well as of accounting science, and she's also part of the Indonesian People's Representative and is currently acting as the Secretary General of the International Muslim Women Union. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Nursanita Nasution.
Okay. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Tariq, for the wonderful and great introduction of me. Hope that can you hear my voice. I hope that Jana will share the presentation, please.
Oh, yeah. 1 second. Just finding it on my PC. Sorry, 1 sec.
Okay. Now I'm in Java right now, not in Jakarta, but still in Indonesia. Okay.
Yeah, can you see it now?
Okay. Yeah. So I will present about the cooperative as economic empowerment of the society. So you know, right now, all over the world get impact of the pandemic COVID-19. So the society, especially who get the money from the bank have a big problems. So you know that we also see from the statistics data that the efficiency from economic growth number and the number of the dismissal of Indonesia affecting the families. And you know that if the families had poor, so you know that in society the criminals numbers will increase. So you know that the difference between the cooperative and the bank, because in a cooperative, usually the specific value is that all the money that we collect from the members, so we can distribute and give them, especially for the women who have a business. So if you lend the money from the banks, so you know right now it's not easy for the family and the women especially to pay the loan from the bank. So this is make a big problem for the women, especially the women. So we know that cooperative in Indonesia, it takes from a long time ago, because the founder of Indonesia also said the cooperative is the good model for the economics. So yes, and I'm one of the board of the Salima. Is the name that we have a cooperative. We said that the name is Kasuma. So Kasuma, or it's not the cooperative that now the member is more than I think it's more than 1 million member, and found in since 2006. Yes, since 2006, and extended the levels of the district of province. You know that Indonesia consists of 34 provinces, and also many 300 more the districts. So Salima has a cooperative member, almost 122 all over Indonesia. And the number of the members always increase every year. And the examples in one of the Kasuma in Middle Java, they has the asset more than 6.4 million rupiah. So I think this is a very spectacular one for the cooperative right now. And the mission of Kosuma, we said that the name is Kosuma, is coordinating and standardizing all the economic potentials for the people welfare, especially for the women who has the business, not the medium, so that maybe small, more than small business. So we help them to finance so they can run their business well. So that's why we are sure that the cooperative is one of the way to empowering the women. So because every year we have a workshop, and also this is one of education way. So we also make the socializations of this cooperative through any major talim. You know that this is a popular one for where many of the women gathers, and also they learn about the religions, and especially the middle age of the women in the moment is gathering for recitations and also meeting up in their home area. So this is also the popular group, said that Arisan in Indonesia. So this is the time that we can socialize and make educations about what the cooperative is. And also the administrators of cooperatives is having training, workshop meeting once a year, aside from year routine meeting too, and which is the annual meeting for the member, which are the characteristic of cooperatives. So how can they pay for the loan that they get from the cooperative or the Kosuma? So they can pay from a little number from each week when they meet in that Majlis Taklim. And also now all of us know that the digitalizations are about right now use this media, and also about the smartphone that many of the young people use that. So regarding this, the consumer also influenced by the digitalization. So since 2016, so 3 years ago, so we established corporations named CASI. So which is one online cooperative cooperative using the applications named as Salinku, and it's a transaction for all the transactions that record use this smartphone. So the member of this online cooperative is about 600 women, and you know that online application through the smartphone is simplifying the access to the cooperative, how they can pay the money for each month, especially for the millennial women and young mothers. So the access with the smartphone is easily targeted to increase the revenue of the women, and that's of course continuously will increase the wealth and the family, and also to make the family endurance from many things. So the conclusion is we have experience in this cooperative data cooperative, and I think this will help women, especially when they do the business, so they can sustainability their business, and also I think that the education for them we have the effective time each week. So this is the pictures. Lastly, I want to see you the pictures that right now the cooperative also make many things for the people, especially for the families. So we have the poor and also many victims of this virus, COVID-19. And I think that's thanks to Allah that now the society also get trust to us, and we hope that we can socialize this to many women, especially the young one, to join these cooperatives. So I think that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nursanita Nasution. That is very powerful about women's empowerment. Once again, thank you. And caretakers, if you have any question, just ask in the chat box below. Again, thank you so much, Dr. Nursanita.
Need to unmute myself. Hi. Okay, so we also have Stephen Makumba here today. So if any of you don't know Stephen Makumba, Stephen is from CEI Malawi, and he's founded numerous movements, from what I can tell, for various environmental activism causes to do with clean water, getting students involved in their local environment, permaculture farming. So Stephen is here today to talk to us about sustainability and activism. So Stephen, maybe you can unmute and turn your camera on. Stephen on the call?
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you for the wonderful introduction. Basically, I can use my camera, but for a while because I'm just sitting in a car somewhere. So I think I'll not use much of my camera.
Okay. Do you want me to? I can click your slides for you, or you can click. Do you want me to click them for you?
I think I can do that.
Okay.
Are they on the slides?
Yes, they are.
Okay. So since I do a lot of out of the clean water, my name is Steve Makumba, CEI Malawi. I'm an environmentalist and I work on different environmental and community projects with youth in Malawi, whereby we do a lot concerning the environment and also community work. But today I'll be doing sustainability and green, which is one of the projects which I did recently. And you can follow that project on my Facebook page. I'll take you from the introduction up to the conclusion of the whole project. But first, let me tell you the introduction of my project. I said I was dealing with water. So the main thing is, what is water? So they say that water is a chemical compound that is made up of elements which are hydrogen and oxygen, and it exists in gaseous, liquid, and solid state. They also say that water is tasteless, odorless, and liquid at a room temperature. And they also say that it has the ability to dissolve other substances. But from me today, you have to understand that water is life. Basically, plants will not grow if there is no water, and animals will not live if there's no water, and we ourselves will not be there if there is no water. So every living organism is dependent on water for its survival. So that's how precious this natural resource is, and we all need to sustain the water resources and make sure that the future generation have the access to this safe and clean water. And if we want all to live, we need to sustain the water resources that we have. The background information of my project: why am I doing a water project? In 2010, the UN General Assembly recognized that human rights to water and sanitation. And they said that everyone has the right to sufficient, continuous, safe, acceptable, physically accessible, and affordable water for personal and domestic use. That was in 2010, before the COVID-19. This is a virtual conference. I would have been in Indonesia right now, but due to the coronavirus, everything has changed. In the midst of the coronavirus, the UN has realized that the ability and accessibility to water, sanitation, and hygiene services is also one of the fundamental areas where we can be fighting the coronavirus in preserving the health and well-being of millions. And they say that coronavirus will not be stopped without access to safe and clean water. So even if in the midst of the coronavirus, we have to see that water is still the best water resource which we're supposed to have in our daily living, to make sure to sum up that water is really life. My water project in Malawi, is being done simply because in 2018, the UNICEF recognized that Malawi, 67% of its population have access to safe and clean water. And Malawi has approximately 18 million of the population. And out of that 18 million, 80% of the population lives in the rural areas. And in rural areas, only 63% of the people living there have got access to safe and clean water. So my project was taking place in Charachara village, which is one of the communities in Kasungu, where people had no access to safe and clean water. So in this case, women and children were the ones who were subjected to collect water from streams, rivers, and wells for their household use. The picture below shows the children collecting water. Why is water, clean water, an effect to the people? It affects the health of the people. It also affects the social living of the people. Having no access to safe and clean water increases people's effects to waterborne related diseases such as diarrhea, cholera, dysentery, and also malaria. These diseases are very deadly to people and mostly to children under the age of 5. Having no access to safe and clean water will also affect the social living, mostly school dropouts, especially to girls, and also have got high mortality rate. That's simply due to the diseases that are there, and also the social imbalance which takes place. So in terms of social imbalance, women are subjected to correct water. So each and every time when there's water scarcity, women are the ones supposed to walk long distances to correct the water. So that really brings social imbalance and making this issue of lack of water a very critical thing to deal with. Why are we having the water crisis? We all know that the 70% of the world is made up of water, but then if you can look at the UN says that the water scarcity affects more than 40% of the global population, and we are saying the projection is going to rise. So if you're having 70% made up of water, but now we're also having water problems and water crisis, why is that so? The answer is very simple. For every action that a man does to the environment, probably to have the other fighting back from the environment. Water is there, but the water is not clean and safe to use. Why is the water in such a situation? This is due to the water pollution which is taking place. We're having a lot of plastic pollution going on globally. We're having a lot of chemical pollution going on globally, talking of oil spills. They are making our waters unstable for use. And also we're having issues of climate change. Climate change is creating issues of droughts, making it hard for people to access water, and having also floods, which are also affecting the water sources. Agriculture also is one of the practices that is having problems, creating problems in water. We need to have to practice permaculture as one way to conserve that. There's also issue of population, which a huge number of people looking for the same amount of water is making water very scarce. For each and every crisis, if we talk about war, if we talk about everything which causes crisis, we found out that women and children are at the center of it, are the ones who are affected most. That is why we need to deal with this to save our brothers and sisters. The solutions for this water crisis, as the CEI, we need all to understand that we need to conserve and protect water. How can we do that? We need to fight issues of climate change. We need to raise awareness on water. We need to fight issues of plastic pollution. We need to fight issues of water pollution. We need to conserve the resources that we have in conserving the water. And also we need to make sure that we have got access to safe and clean water and be able to provide that. So for my Water for Everyone project, is the project what I'm doing in provision of water. It is coming from the background of what I've been saying earlier. So for this project, I provided a water kiosk for this community. This water kiosk will be providing safe and clean water for these people. In hence, these people will not be walking long distances to fetch water, and the number of children dropping out from school due to water issues will be dropped. And also people will have access to safe and clean water, and the water sanitation diseases also going to be reduced. With that, I'll tell you that water is life. Let us protect water, provide water, and save life to make sure that we have a success. We have to maintain and sustain this water resource. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much. I hope, Laura, are you back? Laura Gonzalez? Have you made it back to us?
Yes, I'm back.
Okay, Laura, are you able to give your presentation? I can also go through your slides if that helps.
Yeah,
but,
if you will just go you through the slides and I will not touch anything, because before I did not realize that I was not like talking with you. In fact, I was talking alone for 15 minutes.
Oh, oh, sorry.
And then at the end I say, oh, where are they? But it's okay. So if you put the presentation, I just tell you when to pass the presentation.
Okay. Can you everyone see it now? Oh, no, we've gone too far back. Hold on a second. Sorry. We'll just click through them. Super fast. Click, 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 click. Oh, too far. There we go. Okay.
Okay, so first of all, thank you again for the introduction that you did before, and for all of the organization. I think that you're running all of this, I mean, amazing. And it was just a comment that when you realized that I was not online, I just received like 3 or I don't know how many messages to my WhatsApp asking, how are you? Do you have any problem? Can we help you? So amazing team. Thank you very much. So what I wanted to share with you today is an experience of a project that we are working on in Portugal this year, first time. It's a European project, a methodology that last year, we work with some schools here in project. But first of all, just let me introduce you where I work. I work in ASPIA, that is the Portuguese Association of Environmental Education. It's an association with almost like 30 years, and we work mainly with environmental projects with schools, with councils, teachers training, and we work in projects at national level but also international level, and we work with some fundings like Erasmus Plus, etc. So if you are interested in any project or something, then maybe we can talk later about this. So Jana, next slide please. Thank you. This project, the main objective of this project, to strengthen and to improve the capacity of action of young people, more youngsters between 15 and 16 years old, and also including those with fewer opportunities. And what we want to do is to increase their learning skills, their communicational skills, and their intercultural and democratic dialogue. We do it following a methodology. If you can pass the slide, Jana, please. We work on this project following a methodology that is has like 7 steps. And this year we have been working with almost 30 schools of 5 regions of Portugal. And first of all, we did a training with the teachers, and then the teachers developed the project with their students. The methodology consists like in the 7 steps. The first step is like to explore, and as was explaining in the first presentation, try to understand where you live. You know, we understand where we live, and we try to identify which are like the local challenge. I mean, the things that we would like to improve in our local community, and that's something that the students do. What we try to explain to the teachers is that the teacher is just like a facilitator of the work. It's the students which have like the responsibility to identify this local challenge, and then to organize what we call change action. Something, I mean, can be an activity, a campaign, whatever they want, to try to minimize the effect of this problem that they identify, or to change the problem that they identify. To implement this change action, what we tell to the students is that they should try to involve their local community also. They should talk with the school community, with the authorities, with the business that they have around. So try to involve all of this community, and try to use this territory as a educational resource also. And then the most important is when they organize the change action, they should communicate and share with at local level, and also at political level, the results of this project. And one very important point of this project is that they should communicate with this political level what they did, because what we try to do is, we are still thinking how try to, with this local and school projects, how can we I don't know, but modify or change any like political any law at local level. So we try to create like moments and space of dialogue between the students and these local authorities, to also to the politicals, to know that the students are also like active citizens. So, and they can also use the investigation that they do with their projects at a political level. And of course, then to make any kind of evaluation and follow up of the project every year. Because, for example, if they identify any local challenge, they can make many actions to solve or to minimize this problem. Jana, if you could change the slide. So, because, and what I told you before is that to improve, to Jana, could you? I don't know if you.
No.
Okay.
Am I too far?
It's okay.
It's okay?
Yeah, well, there was one before, but it's okay. Doesn't matter.
This one? It might be taking a second to load.
Okay. So what we did is that, yes, it was the first one. It's because to implement this methodology, we need like super teachers, and we need to train these teachers also to implement this methodology, but also to increase, the capacities and competencies of them. And this is the program of the training that we did with the teachers. And basically, we make a kind of introduction of the project. We talk about the methodology and the network of the stakeholders of the planet in Europe. We talk about sustainable development goals, sustainability, etc. And one important point of this project is, I don't know if it also happened in other countries, but in Portugal we have, I mean, in schools, we have like 25% of time in our timetable that the teachers can work with autonomy. I mean, they can work on projects or with some topics that they like want, and they have the autonomy to decide what they want to work with the students. So what we explain the teacher is how to use this project for this autonomy on project curricula. And three important points on the training are this the communication, argumentation, and also how to influence at political level. And if any of you wants some topics or some activities or resource on these three topics, I can share with you, because it's very interesting to work, for example, argumentation with the students, how to participate in a debate, how to make good questions, how to like answer a question, and it's very interesting. And also how to influence this political level, how to, for example, participate in an assembly under councils, how to write a letter for the council, etc. So it's also very, very interesting. Next slide, please, Jana. These are some photos of the training. I don't know if you can see the photos.
Yep, they're
Okay.
here for us, I think.
Perfect. Yes, there are some photos of the training, because what we did on the training is we use like active methodologies in all of the training process. And what we did is that we explained and we did with the teachers what they should like do with the students. Like if they were students, we like, it's like the same like theater. Now in the trainings, I was like the teacher and they were like the students. And it's very important because like this, they appropriate all of the process, and they can feel all of the difficulties of the project implementation as if they were the students. And we did work cafes methodology. We use postcard, we use theater, some educated communication activities like collage or fanzines, etc. And it was very, very, very interesting. All of the training using this methodology, active methodologies. Because next slide, please, Jana. Because as you may know, as teachers, in all of this learning process, of course, we like people generally remember more the activities that they practice, that they do, and not just activities that they read or that they hear or see. So it's more important in all of this process. Next slide, please, Jana. As I told you in the first slide, in all of the steps of the methodology, there is a moment when they have to communicate what they did, and one of the moments is to organize conferences. We organize conferences at local level in the schools, also at regional level, at national level, and also at the European level with the other countries that also participate in the project. But with the pandemic, we were not able to organize these meetings and this conference, and we did not have such an amazing alumni team to organize this virtual meeting. So we just we prefer to postpone the steps of the methodology for this year. But we just met with the teachers and we organized a kind of teachers conference about the project, and it was very interesting because, as I told you, the same methodology was implemented in 5 different regions in 30 different schools. So we have like a lot of almost 100 different experience of participation on this project. So we wanted to create a moment and a space for all of the teachers share this experience and how did they did the activities of the project. So we organized this virtual meeting, and it was amazing. And it was amazing the big effort that they did on this project, and to see the project, and it was really also like emotional. And after this meeting, we have we have an evaluation and some conclusion, but I just select 3 conclusions of this meeting and 3 things that they point out. One is the use of the territory and all of these stakeholders as an educational resource. They valorize a lot that this project let the students go outside of the school, talk with the local association, talk with the local council, talk with the businesses, and to know what is going on and understand where they live and the problems of their territory, the local territory. And also one reflection is that even the topic of waste is like something that we have been working for a long time in Portugal, and I think that maybe in all of your countries, like 90% of the topics, the problems that they identify as a local challenge to, and also then to implement the action, was the problem of waste in terms of separation of the waste, the problem of like the gardens outside of the school. So it was something that made me like think and what is going on, you know, like it's still like a problem that the students identified in their territory. And also about 3 topics that the teachers think that they would like to improve, and also can be also for you like to inspire future like training with your teachers. It's about the topic of educommunication, and also about fake news and the problem of communication and information, and also about the sustainable development goals. So this is like 3 conclusions, but we had more. I also have a report of the project and more information about the project. So we can talk on the chat, or but then you have my contact here, and if you want more information on the project or about the European network, just let me know, because you can also participate in this project. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, so if all our speakers would like to turn their cameras back on. I'm sorry we're a little bit over time again. But we are going to go through the questions still. Yeah, sorry again that we're over time, guys. I think it's always the way with technology that we have these little setbacks. But we do have lots of questions for our speakers, and we'll do what we did yesterday. So if we don't get through all the questions, we will send them to the speakers and make sure they get answered. Rahmat, are you still here? I can't see you, but I can see your little bubble. Okay.
Yes, I'm still here.
So one of the questions was, you mentioned that people are using traditional fishing methods, but do the fishermen show these off to tourists? I mean, do they bring tourists or local other people out and show them how their traditional fishing methods work?
Sorry, can you repeat again?
Yeah, so you said that there's fishermen that are using traditional methods, so traditional fishing methods, and somebody was wondering if tourists or other people see this and they join them on the boat and know about it, or is it just a local thing that only they know?
Actually, it's very common. This kind of practice is very common, even though it's illegal. For example, the police officer could have like caught them and put them in jail, but it's something that people understand each other. And sorry to say, but there's like corruption involved in this practice. So these fishermen, sometimes they have to pay to the policeman in order they are set free by the police officer. Or sometimes it's just like formally they put in jail, but after a few days after they paid and etc., there's under transaction under the table, and they got released after that.
Okay. So it's sounds like it's a tough and tricky thing.
Yeah, that's very ironic.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there's lots of positivity coming from other people, and I know the work that you're doing is a huge positive. So we'll try to focus on that. Tara, do you have a question for one of our other speakers?
All right, then we have a question for Laura. Laura, are you there? So this question is from Katie from the island. Laura, how long in total did your third level education last? It's about your education background.
Laura, you're still muted. Laura Kelly, you're muted.
Yeah, so I am. Quite a long time. So my degree was 4 years, but then I spent a year in Germany as well, an academic year there too. So theoretically in total, it was 7 years of education with my 2 master's degrees as well. So yeah, a long time, but definitely worth it.
Okay, thanks, Laura. For Laura G, Laura Gonzalez, other Laura. We've got two Lauras, very interesting today. So you mentioned the teachers have 25% autonomy where they can work on what they want to work on. Is that for every subject? Somebody would like to know.
It's for the, yes, I mean, it's like they have a time. There is like one teacher in church, but they have like all of the subjects can use it. And sometimes what they do is like they do like projects in terms of like interdisciplinary projects. So more than one subject works on the same project.
And they were also wondering,
it's very interesting. It's not like we are like the government is like testing this, but then like if some of you is interested, I can send you like the information.
Okay, and then do the environmental activities happen in science or geography class, or how do the environmental things normally fit into?
Normally, I think that it's something like very common. Normally, the teachers from science like try to organize this project, but what we do is like we organize this project with all of the subjects. In fact, the teacher that participates on the training were from all subjects. We have teachers from music, from physical education, from literature, from all subjects, because what we do want is this, to have this interdisciplinarity on this project, because we see the environment as not just in the box of nature. You know, we see the environment in like it's people, it's how we are in the land, how we are in our school. I mean, the environment is everything. So that's our
that's
vision.
a great perspective.
And I think that it's our vision.
All right, so we have one interesting question for Dr. Nursanita. Dr. Nursanita, are you there? So the question is, how important do you think women are in the transformation to a more sustainable planet? So it's about women's role towards a sustainable planet.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
perfect.
Yes, you know that women is take big roles in the families, and know that if the women can survive and also happy and healthy, so that will influence all the family. So if the family is nice and they have a strong family, because they can consolidate, although they have many troubles especially in the economic of the family. But I think if we in the cooperative help them, so they will survive, and also they will get in good influence to the environment. So you know that usually we see that the poor family, they cannot cannot live healthy, and also the environment will be bad. So if the family can cooperative and they still have the good money, and also they can survive. So I think they can, although maybe they don't have much money, but they can live in especially start from the family. They can be healthy, and also this will influence their environments and their neighborhoods and everything. So they will good impact to all of the environment.
All right, thank you so much. That's such an insightful response.
Okay, we just we'll do a couple more questions, but if anyone has to leave, we totally understand. Stephen, Dan is asking, how can we replicate what you did in this village, as well as understand the human effort and the cost to accomplish what you did? You might need to unmute yourself, Stephen. I'm not sure if you, or maybe you want me to repeat.
Yeah, I want you to repeat the question.
Yeah, so how can we, as caretakers, how can we replicate what you did in this village, and how can we understand the human effort and also the cost that went into accomplishing such an activity?
Oh, okay. basically, when we are doing this kind of water projects, we need the communities to take part in it. So we have them, and then we tell them what they ask them what they want, if they really want the water, or maybe we can need something else which we can consider it more than water to them. But basically, when it is a water project, everybody says yes. So when we meet them, we want them to take part in it, and they do all the work. They do the groundwork, they do the building. So all we do is just providing them with the materials which they cannot afford to buy, like iron sheets, and they're paying for the pipeline. But the rest of the work is done by themselves, because we want them to have the sense of ownership of the project, by not just giving them the water tap or saying, here's the water, have the water, but we want them really to take part in it. So we only provide with the sources which we cannot manage to do, but all the work is done by them. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Stephen.
And I think we have one last question for Rahmat.
Yes.
How many students have you been able to reach with this model of education? How many?
So currently we have around 200 students from 5 different islands.
Whoa.
So yeah, so around that number.
That's mesmerizing. Thank you. And I think we still have question for Laura.
Yeah, so Laura Kelly, right? We've got one more for Laura Kelly, I think.
Laura Kelly.
So Laura Kelly, people are wondering, how can we minimize our carbon footprint in areas other than food while traveling abroad?
So there's a lot of ways in which you can do this. I just chose some food examples because everyone loves food. We have obviously many other things going on. But yeah, it starts really at the time before you even go on holidays. It is things like you opt for things like the e-documents that I talked about. You don't print things out. You make sure you have digital copies of anything you might need. So you're at that stage even reducing your carbon footprint. And then in terms of travel, obviously if you can take kind of more so public transport, and for example we do rail trips where guests travel by rail so that they're equally minimizing their carbon footprint. And there's so many ways that you can, but definitely by supporting local and sustainable tourism experiences, that is definitely another way you can do this. I know as part of the strategy that Treadwright are working on, the plan is to provide what the carbon footprint would be for most of our itineraries. I know that's being worked on right now, so that guests, when they're booking, they can see, okay, well, this is my carbon footprint if I take these options, but look, maybe if I put this one in instead, I can lower my footprint. So it is definitely in the works as a plan as well, to make it more clear to people when they travel what they can do to reduce their carbon footprint.
Okay. So unfortunately, because we've run so far over time, that's all we've got time for, but we will send all of your questions to the speakers and get them answered. We do promise that we will get them up on the website at some point. Thank you again to all of our speakers. It was really great to have you all here. And just everyone take care, and we'll see you tomorrow at the same time as we always kick off. So 6 o'clock WIB. So we'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.